Hey, Soul Stories fam. We've got a swoon-worthy love story for you today. Let's jump in and tell us, what city are you watching from? Le Jardin was the kind of restaurant where people signed million-dollar contracts, not a place for a mechanic in a faded gray shirt like Ryan Torres, who was nervously checking his phone for the 10th time. Table by the window. Blue dress. Don't be late, slowpoke. Your sister, he sighed. Slowpoke. The title his sister had given him ever since he'd shown up to a birthday party wearing his oil-stained cap. This time she had sworn up and down, "This girl's gentle, honest, totally your type." Ryan wasn't sure he believed her, but the warm light reflected off the glass and somehow urged him inside. His heart pounded like a hammer hitting an engine hood. The air smelled of wine, silverware clinked, a violin whispered in the background. He felt like he'd stepped into someone else's movie. Then he spotted it, the table by the window, blue dress. There she was. A blonde woman sat alone, soft candlelight painting her smooth cheekbones. But what made Ryan freeze was the wheelchair beside her table. His sister hadn't mentioned that. He hesitated for a few seconds, then chuckled quietly to himself. Maybe she'd forgotten, or maybe she didn't want him to be scared off. Taking a deep breath, he approached. "Excuse me, are you?" The woman looked up, hazel eyes widening slightly before curving into a smile. "I'm Anna, and I think you've got the wrong table." Ryan flushed. "Oh, I was looking for someone in a blue dress by the window, so I thought." Anna laughed, a clear, genuine sound that made a few nearby diners smile too. "It's fine," she said. "At least you're more interesting than most blind date stories I've heard. I'm just waiting for my dad. He's never on time." Ryan scratched his head awkwardly. "Sorry for bothering you. I'll go find the right table." But Anna tilted her head, eyes sparkling with mischief. "It'd be a shame if you left. I doubt your date's here yet. My dad's at least 20 minutes late. Sit down. No need to waste a beautiful mistake." The words were so light, yet Ryan couldn't bring himself to refuse. He sat, trying to sit straight. Sure. I'm Ryan. Nice to meet you, Ryan Torres. I'm Anna Lawrence." That last name made him pause. Lawrence, as in Lawrence Holdings, the massive investment conglomerate. He pretended to stay cool. "Huh, sounds familiar. Hopefully in a good way. My father works in a field where people shake hands and keep one eye open." "And me," Ryan said, "I work in a field people only remember when their cars break down." Anna burst out laughing. "A mechanic?" "Exactly. Just a small shop owner." "Interesting. I like the smell of motor oil." He almost choked. "You..." "What?" "It feels real. You fix something and it works. I code and debug all day, and computers never say thank you." Ryan grinned. "So, a coder?" "Software developer," she corrected, half teasing. "My father calls it a hobby, but it's a real job." "I believe you," he said, then realized he'd switched to the casual tone of I. Anna smiled. "That's okay. I like how you talk, honest, not polished." Between them, the air slowly softened. Ryan told her about customers who poured water instead of oil. Anna laughed until her eyes watered. Anna told him about an AI robot she built that once said, "I'm depressed." Ryan replied, "Maybe it just needs a new bug." They both burst out laughing. Outside, snow began to fall softly. Candlelight shimmered on the window like faint stars. Anna whispered, "Maybe sitting at the wrong table isn't so bad." Ryan nodded. Sometimes the wrong seat helps you find the right person to talk to. Their conversation continued, as natural as two old friends catching up. No one would have believed this was their first meeting, let alone that it began with a system glitch caused by Ryan's sister. "So you work with keyboards and I work with wrenches?" Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Both fixing errors," Anna replied. "Except yours might smoke, while mine just makes the computer curse." "The computer curses?" "Oh, absolutely. It throws a fatal error in my face every morning." They both laughed, their laughter spilling over to the next table. Ryan leaned back, his eyes brighter, more confident. "I've never seen anyone talk about their job with eyes that light up like that." "Really?" "Yeah, most of my clients only light up when they're Car starts again. You light up when your code runs right. Anna rested her chin on her hand, a smile spreading across her face. You sound like you're flirting in programming language. I'm only good at fixing machines, not flirting. Really? I doubt that. Truth. If I knew how, I wouldn't have gone on a blind date based on my sister's wrong directions. They both laughed again. The air between them was clear and easy, like candlelight flickering in the snow outside. After a quiet pause, Anna turned the small wheel in her hand, her voice softening. My dad wouldn't like you. I haven't done anything yet. My dad doesn't like anyone who can't take care of me. To him, I need someone strong, rich, someone who can fight the whole world for me. And what do you think? I think he loves me, just in the wrong way. Ryan looked at her for a long moment. I think you don't need anyone to take care of you. You need someone who respects you. Anna froze. 3 years since the accident, no one had spoken to her like that, without pity, without comfort, just seeing her as she truly was. And what about you? She asked quietly. Who takes care of you? Ryan chuckled, rubbing the scar on his finger. I've got a small repair shop. My days are full of oil, rain, and cold coffee. People bring in everything that's broken, but no one ever asks if I'm tired. Are you? Not anymore. Anna blushed and quickly changed the subject. Do you have any employees? One apprentice and 2 stray cats. One sleeps on the hood, the other in the toolbox. Perfect team. Yeah, except they don't pay rent. They both burst out laughing, enough to make the waiter hide a smile too. The candlelight reflected in Anna's eyes, bright yet deep. The accident made me relearn how to move, how to do everything on my own. My dad still doesn't get it. He thinks I need someone to push me. Ryan tilted his head. And I think, what do you think? I think you don't need anyone to push you. You just need someone to walk beside you. Anna went silent for a few seconds before whispering, that sounds like something from a movie. Yeah, but that movie hasn't premiered yet. It's still being filmed at my repair shop. She laughed again, this time lighter, as if a bit of the weight she carried had finally lifted. He glanced down, a message from his sister. Breaking news, my friend can't make it. Sorry, little bro. Don't be mad. Rain check. Ryan read it, half laughing, half helpless. He looked up at Anna. Update from the person who set me up. Turns out my blind date canceled. Anna laughed, her eyes gleaming under the candlelight. So you really did sit at the wrong table. Yeah, and apparently the right person. She tilted her head teasingly. Then why rush off? My dad's not here yet, and this table still has 2 dinners waiting. Stay. Consider it my thank you for rescuing me from a boring evening. Ryan hesitated. I don't want to intrude. You're not intruding. I'm inviting you. But, Ryan, she interrupted, smiling, if you walk out now, I'll tell the waiter you abandoned me mid-date. He laughed, hands raised in mock surrender. All right, but fair warning. I'm terrible with fancy cutlery. Good. I hate the rituals anyway. We'll get along just fine. Once again, the air between them grew light. Smiles, candlelight, and that subtle warmth spreading across the table. Anna was telling Ryan about her house-cleaning robot. The one my dad absolutely despises because it dared to tidy up his desk. Ryan was still laughing when a deep, commanding voice came from behind. Anna! They both turned. A man in his 60s with silver hair, a perfectly tailored black suit, and sharp, unreadable eyes approached. The music seemed to fade on cue. Anna smiled, a bit uneasy. Dad, I thought you were still in a meeting? Robert Lawrence's brow furrowed slightly. It ended earlier than expected. Then he turned to Ryan, his tone calm, too calm. And this is... Ryan shot to his feet, pure reflex. Ryan Torres, sir. My daughter's friend? No, just... Anna cut in quickly. He sat at the wrong table, and I made him stay because I found it interesting. That word interesting made Robert's eyes narrow. He pulled out a chair and sat down without breaking eye contact. I find it interesting too. His voice was cool, the kind of interesting only powerful men use when they mean the opposite. Ryan sat, heart pounding, But Anna's glance, "Don't be scared," steadied him. Robert tapped a finger lightly on the table. "What do you do, Mr. Torres?" "I'm a mechanic, sir. Own a small shop in Brooklyn." "Interesting," Robert repeated, sharper this time, a blade hidden in civility. Anna watched her father, half anxious, half annoyed. Ryan smiled faintly. "Yes, sir. At least every car that leaves my shop runs properly. I take that as a small success." Anna nearly burst out laughing. Robert raised a brow, not expecting the young man to joke back. "Employees? One apprentice and 2 cats." "Oh, they're loyal. Never ask for vacation days." A few diners nearby chuckled. Anna bit her lip to hold back a grin. Robert took a sip of wine, eyes on his daughter. "You invited him to dine with us privately?" Anna, "Yes, I thought you wouldn't mind." "And you, Mr. Torres?" Robert turned to him. "Don't you find it strange to sit with a stranger and her father?" Ryan answered evenly, "No, sir," because she's not a stranger anymore. The air froze for a beat. Robert looked up, somewhere between surprise and assessment. Anna turned toward Ryan, heart racing, torn between laughing or scolding him for being that bold. Dinner unfolded like a duel. Steak, red wine, and verbal fencing. Robert asked about finances. Ryan answered plainly. Robert asked about his future. Ryan was honest. "I don't have a 5-year corporate plan, sir. I just want to grow my shop and do better work each day." Anna smiled faintly, but Robert's hand tightened around his glass. "You think life is as simple as fixing an engine?" Ryan replied, "No, sir. But if no one dares to open the hood, the engine will never run." Robert was silent for a few seconds. A naive answer, and yet somehow disarmingly logical. Anna realized the 2 men were more alike than she'd imagined. Both stubborn, both deeply committed to their crafts. Still, her father's gaze stayed sharp, weighing Ryan's every word and gesture. After dessert, Robert laid his napkin down, half smiling. "Thank you, Mr. Torres, for making Anna laugh tonight." Ryan rose. "The pleasure's mine, sir, even if it began with a mistake." Anna chuckled softly. Robert nodded once, a gesture impossible to read, approval or disdain. As Ryan excused himself and left the table, Anna gently touched her father's hand. "Dad, I know what you're thinking, but—" Robert cut her off. "You have no idea what I'm thinking, Anna." He stood composed and walked toward the reception desk, wearing that same polished smile he used at press conferences. "Thank you for the evening," he told the manager, then added smoothly, "I'd like to know everything about that young man." The manager froze for a moment, then nodded and began jotting notes. Outside, Ryan stepped into the light drizzle, pulling up his jacket collar. Through the window, he saw Anna watching him go. She lifted a hand, a small, wistful smile on her lips. Ryan had no idea that, as he walked away, a force far more powerful than any broken engine he'd ever faced had just begun to investigate him, like a spark in an engine about to explode. 3 days later, on a pale Brooklyn morning, Ryan was bent under an old Ford when the soft chime of the wind bell above the garage door rang. He looked up, grease on his hands, hair messy with sweat, and almost dropped his wrench when he saw her. Anna Lawrence. Simple white dress, pale blue jacket, hair neatly tied, a gentle smile like rare winter sunlight, rolling herself into the shop in her wheelchair, a picture that didn't belong in a small auto repair shop at all. "Hello, mechanic." Ryan blinked. Sorry, but I think the Le Jardin restaurant is on the next corner." "Sadly, I'm not here for steak. I'm here for someone who knows how to check brakes." He straightened up, wiped his hands on a rag, trying to stay composed. "Something wrong with your car?" "Not exactly. It just makes this clicking sound, like a blind date with danger." "Then you're in luck. I'm an expert at handling those kinds of dates." She laughed, eyes teasing. "You sound like one of those TV garage commercials." "Yeah, except I can't afford the sexy voiceover." Ryan crouched to inspect the wheels while Anna rolled closer. He said, "You should stay back. It's dirty and kind of hot over here." But Anna shook her head. "You forget I'm a techie too?" "I want to see the diagnostic process." "The difference is you work with keyboards. This is metal and oil." Then I'd like to learn the real-life version. Before he could stop her, she reached out to touch a part of the apprentice had just welded. Ow! Don't! Ryan shouted, grabbing her wrist and pulling her hand back. He blew gently on the spot. You okay? Anna burst out laughing, watching him panic as if she'd almost exploded. You react faster than my fire alarm robot. Ryan sighed, half irritated, half amused. I swear, you're the most dangerous customer I've ever had. She winked. Just testing your reflexes. And perfect score. They chatted amid the clinking of metal, the smell of grease, and an old radio softly playing Can't Help Falling in Love. Anna watched him lean over the car, sleeves rolled up, forearms tense, eyes focused. Then she realized something. Ryan never looked at her with pity. He looked at her the same way he looked at an engine. Calm, capable, unafraid. When he straightened up, sweat glistening on his forehead, Anna said quietly, You haven't asked why I use a wheelchair. I don't need to know to fix your brakes. Most people would be curious. Most people don't realize that curiosity can be a polite form of pity. Anna paused, then smiled. You're the first person who's ever talked to me like that. Like what? Like I'm still me. Ryan shrugged. You are still you. She looked around the shop, stacks of toolboxes, a gray cat sleeping in a tire, and an old wooden sign that read, Torres Auto Repair. We fix what others give up on. Nice slogan. I think so. Ever tried fixing people? People? Yeah, the kind others have given up on. He smiled, his gaze slow and deep. I'm not delicate enough to fix people, but if someone wants to stand up again, I'll gladly build the ramp. Anna stared at him, silent for a moment. Her smile softened, no longer teasing. You know, you just said something that makes a coder like me want to write a love program. Ryan raised an eyebrow. Will it have bugs? Probably, but you'll have to debug it. They both laughed, making the cat in the tire lift its head and yawn. When he finished, Ryan tested the brakes a few times and turned back to her. All good, but if it still clicks, bring it back. Anna nodded, then paused. Do you think maybe I faked the brake problem? Ryan grinned. I suspected that from the start. And you still fixed it? I wasn't about to miss a chance to see the cutest customer in Brooklyn. Anna tilted her head, half shy, half pleased. That line's almost commercial-worthy. Practicing, so next time you come back, I'll have a reason to charge extra. She left in the afternoon light. When the sound of her wheels faded, Ryan turned back to his workbench and spotted something glinting on the floor. A silver necklace. A tiny pendant shaped like a microchip, engraved with the initials AL. He picked it up, turning it under the light. Faint code lines etched into the chip resembled a command. Ryan smiled softly. Coders really don't know how to joke. He set the necklace beside the oil bottle where two worlds, metal and code, had just touched for the first time. Robert Lawrence's office always smelled of oak and authority. Light from the glass wall glinted off his polished desk, reflecting a face that was cold, sharp, and entirely in control. His assistant placed a file on the desk. Report on Ryan Torres, sir. Robert opened it. Page 1, owner of Torres Auto Repair, Brooklyn, age 31. No criminal record, no debts. Well regarded in his neighborhood. Honest, diligent. Robert's brow arched. No debt, no dirt, no danger. But also, nothing special. He closed the file. A man like that can't take care of my daughter. The assistant hesitated. Sir, he seems to be a good person. Good doesn't pay hospital bills. Good doesn't survive the world's scrutiny. Robert stood, slipping his hands into his pockets as he stared out over the city's glittering skyline. I want to know what kind of man he is when he's tested. A few days later, Ryan was changing oil in a pickup when a sleek black sedan stopped in front of his shop. A man stepped out. Dark suit, polished shoes, the expensive scent of cologne cutting through the smell of motor oil. Ryan Torres? That's me. I'm Marcus Hale, technical representative from Lawrence Motors. Ryan looked up, surprised. The car company? Correct. We're launching a restoration program for Mr. Lawrence's vintage car collection. We need an independent technician to assess them before restoration. Someone trustworthy. Ryan wiped his hands on a rag, half shocked, half thrilled. And you chose me? We were referred. Marcus smiled, a cold, professional smile. I hear you're good with things everyone else has given up on. Ryan chuckled. Sounds like my unofficial motto. Then we found the right man. Marcus set a folder on the counter. Inside is a temporary contract and project details. If you accept, you start Monday. Ryan glanced at the label, Lawrence Motors, vintage car restoration pilot. He didn't know he had just stepped into a secret test designed by Robert Lawrence himself. That evening, back in his small apartment above the garage, the light was still on. His mother, Teresa, sat knitting on the worn armchair. Mom, I got a big project with Lawrence Motors. Might lead to something long-term. She smiled gently, though her eyes carried quiet concern. Sounds fancy, but Ryan, remember, not every job is worth trading your peace for. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. I just want to see how far I can go. She nodded slowly. Then do it with your heart. But be careful with wealthy people. They can buy things others believe are priceless. The next day, Ryan arrived at the Lawrence Motors facility. The place felt like another world. Sleek, silent, sterile. Marcus met him at the entrance, walking him through glass corridors, his tone measured. Mr. Lawrence values quality. He likes control over every detail. Ryan nodded. So do I. The only difference is, I use a wrench. Marcus gave a faint laugh. Let's hope your wrench can handle pressure. They stopped before a massive garage filled with rows of dust-covered vintage cars. Ryan's breath caught. He knelt to inspect one. Beautiful, he murmured. Marcus glanced sideways, scribbling something into a notebook. Take your time. We'll be observing. Ryan laughed. Observing? What am I, an experiment? Marcus replied with a faint smile. In this world, Mr. Torres, everyone is someone's experiment. In the glass-walled office above, Robert stood with an espresso in hand. Through the pane, he watched Ryan working hands blackened with grease, expression focused, unpretentious, unafraid of dirt. He accepted, Marcus's voice came through the earpiece. Robert nodded slightly. Good. Let's see if he has the patience and pride to survive in my world. And if he passes? Marcus asked. Robert's voice turned cold. Then I'll find another weakness. That afternoon, Ryan kept working long after sunset, sweat mixed with paint dust, his hands blackened to the wrists. When Marcus returned, Ryan looked up. Mr. Lawrence's cars were poorly maintained, the brake systems corroded. Whoever calls this collecting should at least take care of them. Marcus's mouth curved faintly. You dare criticize my boss's cars? Ryan shrugged. I'm talking about the cars, not the man. If someone can't handle the truth, they shouldn't hire a mechanic like me. Marcus nodded slowly, jotting something down while suppressing a laugh. You're exactly the kind of man my boss finds both irritating and intriguing. Ryan frowned, confused, then exhaled. As long as the car runs better, I don't care what people think of me. That's not something I can fix. Night fell. In his office, Robert reopened the file. He flipped to a new page, a photo of Ryan working under the fluorescent lights, his face smudged with grease but alive with a quiet integrity. Robert murmured to himself, he's not pretending. But in this world, honesty alone won't keep you standing. He switched off the lights. His voice echoed in the dark, crisp and deliberate. Marcus, keep watching. I want to see how he reacts when he's cornered. The early March rain poured over Brooklyn like the sky itself was furious. The wind whipped the signboard and water streamed down the curb like a river. Inside Ryan Torres's small garage, leaks turned into waterfalls until it felt like the whole sky had collapsed. No, no, no! Ryan shouted, yanking a tarp over a car as dirty water splashed across his face. The lights flickered. Tools that were neatly arranged every day now floated like tiny wrecked ships. The apprentice yelled, Ryan, the water's rising too fast. Cut the main power, Ryan's voice was hoarse. In less than 2 hours, the garage had become a swimming pool of despair. The air compressor was dead. The prototype brake system for the Lawrence Motors project was half submerged, and cans of expensive paint drifted toward the door. Ryan pressed his palms against the wall, breathing hard. Everything he'd worked for, washed away with the dirty floodwater. The next morning, the rain still drizzled. The garage looked like a battlefield. A soaked floor, the smell of rust and dampness everywhere. Ryan sat slumped on a plastic chair, with dark circles under his eyes. The apprentice spoke softly. "Boss, maybe we should take a few days off." "No," Ryan said firmly. "If we don't deliver the Lawrence project on time, we lose the contract. And if I lose that, I lose this place." The kid opened his mouth to respond, but a familiar voice came from the doorway. "Then let me help." Ryan looked up. Anna stood there, in a blue raincoat, hair damp, wheelchair wheels glistening with rain, her face bright against the gray sky. "Anna, what are you doing here?" "I checked the weather and guessed right. I knew your shop was in a low area." "I'm fine. It's wet, dirty, dangerous." "So what? I write code in chaos too." She rolled inside, splashing water everywhere. Ryan moved to stop her, but she had already positioned herself in the middle of the garage, pulling out her phone, eyes sharp and alive. "How many people do you have?" "One." "Not enough. I'll call some friends from my company. They're free this weekend." "Anna, this isn't an IT office?" "Then I'll turn it into one." 30 minutes later, Anna sat in the middle of the garage, laptop open, fingers flying. A few of her friends arrived, along with Ryan's neighbors, bringing buckets and portable pumps. Anna took charge like a commander. "Left side still has live wires. Stay clear. Move the Mustang to the dry corner. Group the tools by labels I just sent to the app." Everyone exchanged bewildered glances. No one could believe the girl in the wheelchair had just written a mini app to assign tasks, track tools, and send live updates to a temporary dashboard. The apprentice gaped. "She's a real coder?" Ryan chuckled while wiping down a workbench. "You think a fake one could get this whole shop running again in 2 hours?" Anna looked up and smiled. "I like that quote." That afternoon, the rain stopped. Ryan and the small crew worked through the night to salvage what they could. He dismantled every part, dried every bolt, and checked every component that had been touched by water. Anna helped by comparing the original Lawrence Motors design schematics she'd seen in public archives, helping him recalibrate the brake's electrical system using a digitized wiring map. "You really think you can deliver on time?" "I don't think I will." His hands were rough and trembling from exhaustion, but he didn't stop. Anna watched him silently. A man with no fame, no fortune, yet still fighting to keep his word on a project everyone else saw as a capability test. 3 days later, the sun finally returned. The garage was clean, dry, and bright. The Lawrence Motors brake prototype stood nearly restored. Ryan ran a final test, closed the hood, and uploaded a report video showing the completed system. The apprentice cheered. "You did it! Mr. Lawrence is going to freak out." Ryan smiled, his voice raw. "I didn't do it for him. I did it for me. Because if I give up now, I'll always be just a small-time mechanic in their eyes." Anna looked at him quietly, eyes shimmering with pride. "You're not small, Ryan. You've just never been seen the right way." Then the sound of an engine broke the silence outside. A sleek black Bentley pulled up in front of the garage. Marcus stepped out and opened the door for Robert Lawrence. The air froze. Robert stood there, black suit, sharp gaze, taking in the scene. The tidy, bright garage, the busy workers, his daughter sitting in the middle of the control area, and on the screen behind her, the successful completion report of the Lawrence Motors project. "Anna," he said in a low voice, "what are you doing here?" "Helping a friend," she replied. "A friend? In this?" He stopped himself before saying, "filthy place," catching sight of Ryan carefully polishing the last part of the test vehicle bearing the company's logo. Robert stepped closer, silent, watching. No one spoke. Only the soft whistle of wind through the metal door filled the space as sunlight fell across Ryan's hands. Hands that never stopped moving, even under the weight of a powerful man's stare. Robert's eyes shifted to his daughter, hair wet, sleeves stained with mud, but smiling, radiantly, more alive than at any gala he had ever hosted. And for the first time, He didn't know whether to be angry or to wonder if he had completely misjudged the man before him. Late afternoon, the last rays of sunlight slipped through the glass window of Robert Lawrence's office, the one no one dared enter when he was thinking. This time, Robert wasn't working. On his desk lay the file on Ryan Torres, beside a photo of Anna smiling in a mud-streaked garage lit by warm light. The door burst open. Ryan stood there, hands still stained with oil, shirt smelling faintly of the workshop. "You wanted to see me?" Robert looked up, his voice low and heavy. "Sit." The air thickened. The wall clock ticked, each sound sharp like metal against metal. Robert set his coffee cup down and looked directly at Ryan. "Do you love my daughter?" Ryan didn't flinch. "Yes." "Why?" "Because she's strong, intelligent, and she makes me want to be a better man." Robert narrowed his eyes. "Not out of pity?" Ryan answered instantly firm. "No, and I don't need pity to love anyone." Robert leaned back, arms crossed. "You think love is enough? Do you even know what it means to live with someone who's disabled?" "I do," Ryan said slowly, gaze unwavering. "It means watching her fight for independence every day. It means learning not to take over, but to walk beside her. I see someone strong, not a burden." Robert slammed his palm on the desk, his tone sharp as a blade. "You're naive, Torres. Life isn't a romance novel. I've seen enough people say, 'forever,' and walk away at the first sign of hardship." Ryan rose to his feet. "I'm not like them. You think that now, but I won't let her make another mistake. I already lost her once in that accident. I won't lose her again because of some mechanic's impulsive kindness." The door swung open. Anna stood there. The rain had just stopped outside. Her hair was damp, and her coat was soaked through. Her eyes carried the weight of betrayal. "So that's why you had him followed?" Robert froze. "Anna, don't deny it. Marcus told me everything. The project, the surveillance, treating him like a criminal." Ryan tried to speak, but Anna raised her hand. "You say you love me, but you only loved the version of me before the accident. The one in heels, smiling at your business dinners, shaking hands with your partners." Robert's fist clenched. "Anna, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly. You love the image you want of me, not who I really am." The air cracked between father and daughter like thunder. Ryan stepped back, saying nothing. He knew this was their battle to fight. "My dear," Robert said quietly, though his tone stayed firm, "I just want you to be happy." "Then let me choose how to be happy." "You're choosing wrong." "No, you're wrong for thinking people only deserve love if they can stand on 2 feet." Robert froze. Her words sliced through the armor of logic he had built his whole life. "You really love him?" "Yes," Anna said, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Not because he saved me, but because, for the first time, I don't need to be saved." Ryan looked at her, his eyes filled with love and pain, knowing she just lost something greater than a fight, her father's trust. Robert turned away, voice low but strained. "Leave, Anna. When you're mature enough to understand what's best for you, come back." Anna let out a bitter laugh, wiping her tears. "You talk as if you always know what's best. But all you've ever been good at is control, not love." She turned to Ryan. "Let's go. It's suffocating in here." "Anna," Robert called, but she didn't stop. The soft roll of her wheelchair echoed against the marble floor. Steady, cold. When the door closed, Robert stood still. Outside, rain began again, each drop striking the glass like the slow, heavy beats of regret. Ryan and Anna stepped into the drizzle beneath the awning. He slipped off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders, his hand trembling slightly. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For being the reason you had to walk away from home." Anna shook her head, her gaze steady. "No, Ryan. I left because I wanted to live as myself. You're just the one person who isn't afraid to see me in this wheelchair." She took his hand and squeezed it gently. "The rest, let the rain wash away." They stepped out into the street, where the rain blurred the city lights into soft halos. Behind them, the office window still glowed. Robert stood there, hand resting on the framed photo of his daughter. His eyes followed the two figures disappearing into the rain. He wanted to call out, to stop her, but the pride of a man who'd spent a lifetime commanding others kept him frozen in place. Anna rented a small ground-floor apartment in Old Town Brooklyn, where morning sunlight filtered through thin curtains, spilling across her keyboard, and the warm scent of coffee filled the air. No assistants, no controlling father, just her laptop, and a brand new wheelchair ramp that Ryan was struggling to install. "Are you sure it won't collapse?" Anna asked, tilting her head with a teasing smirk. "Trust me, it could hold a truck. I'm a person, not a truck, which is why I'm being extra careful." Ryan gritted his teeth, tightening the bolts with his bare hands, sweat trailing down his neck. Anna watched him, amused. "You know, you look like you're competing in a National Assembly championship. I'm just afraid if you slip, I'll lose my chance with my future girlfriend." Anna burst out laughing. "Who said you have a girlfriend? I'm just fixing this ramp so I can apply for the position." After the ramp came a broken outlet. Ryan crouched down to fix the wiring while Anna rolled closer, holding a flashlight. "You did turn off the breaker, right?" "Yeah." "You sure?" "Pretty sure." "Zia P." A spark flashed and Ryan jumped. "Okay, maybe not." Anna laughed so hard the light trembled in her hand. "You're exactly the kind of guy who makes me want to add a new line in my code. If, idiot, protect him first." Ryan grinned, rubbing his hand. "Then I'll add, if, coder, dot smile equals true, then heart overflow." "That's the worst line of code I've ever heard," she said, but her cheeks were definitely pink. By noon, rain pattered softly outside, and the scent of spaghetti filled the apartment. Ryan wore an apron that read, "Kiss the cook," a gift from his mom. "Are you trying to poison someone?" Anna teased, eyeing the pot of boiling water. "No, just trying to prove I can cook better than your food delivery app. My app has 50,000 users, and every one of them is starving while waiting for their order." When he served the dish, she blinked. The pasta was overcooked, the sauce way too generous, but the smell was oddly comforting. "Not bad," she said, "except it looks more burnt creative than Italian. I call it the Brooklyn Freestyle Edition. I'll rate it with a single line of code." "What's that?" "If, taste greater than expected. Print, wow. Else print, Ryan needs help." Both of them laughed until tears formed. Later that afternoon, Ryan helped Anna test the new ramp. He stood behind her wheelchair, hands on the grips, slightly nervous. "Ready for me to push?" "Wait, what now?" "You're pushing like it's Formula One. Slow down, Hamilton." Ryan chuckled, steadying himself. "Sorry, first time as a wheelchair driver." "No need for a driver. I can do it myself. But I like the feeling of going with you." She turned slightly, meeting his eyes over her shoulder. Sunlight streamed through her hair, catching in his gaze. For a moment, the whole world paused. Just the two of them, one ramp and a heartbeat in sync. That evening, Ryan was fixing a light switch while Anna typed away on her laptop, the blue glow flickering across her cheek. "What are you working on?" he asked. "A new app. Code of Freedom." "Sounds serious." "It's not. Just software to help people with disabilities control smart home devices more easily. I want freedom. No one turning the lights on for me. No one opening doors for me. No one deciding what I can or can't do." "Sounds like you're rewriting your own life's code." "Exactly." She paused, then looked at him. "You know what's funny? My dad always thought freedom meant being protected, but I've realized freedom means having someone who believes you can do it yourself." Ryan smiled softly. "I do. Because you love me? Because I see you." Night fell. Rain drummed gently on the eaves. Ryan lay stretched out on the floor, while Anna sat by the window, typing, the rhythm of keys blending with the sound of rain. He asked quietly, "If I hadn't gone to the wrong table that night, do you think you'd ever have trusted someone else?" Anna looked up, her eyes glimmering. "Maybe. But you know what? Some mistakes are hard-coded into fate, and we just have to debug our way to each other." "Exactly." She smiled, leaning forward to brush her hand lightly against his. A small touch, but enough to send a warm spark through Ryan's chest. Freedom, she thought, doesn't always begin by leaving home. Sometimes it begins with finding someone who makes you feel safe, even when you don't need saving. The damp Brooklyn night whispered through a half-open window, carrying a chill tinged with the scent of rain. Inside the small apartment, the desk lamp glowed softly. The laptop sat unfinished on the table. Ryan had fallen asleep on the chair, but Anna was still awake, breathing fast, sweat beading on her forehead. She was dreaming. In the dream, a deafening crash tore through the dark, screeching brakes, shattering glass, someone shouting, "Anna!" before everything dissolved into silence. She saw herself trapped in a cage of twisted metal, the smell of gasoline thick in the air, the blinking headlights beating like a dying heart. "No! Stop!" she screamed, jerking upright, breath ragged. Ryan jolted awake and ran to her. "Anna! You okay?" She gasped, trembling, eyes wet. "Just a nightmare." He sat down on the edge of the bed, wrapping his hand around hers, cold, shaking. "I'm here. You're safe." She leaned on his shoulder, tears soaking into his shirt. After a while, when her breathing steadied, Anna spoke in a husky voice. "Do you ever think a single moment can split your whole life in two?" Ryan nodded quietly. "I used to think that, but I didn't understand it until I met you." She gave a faint smile. "My accident did exactly that. It divided my life into before and after. And my father, he never accepted the second half." She straightened up, eyes drifting toward the window. "That night, I was driving home from a meeting with friends. A drunk driver ran a red light, slammed right into my car." Ryan squeezed her hand tighter. "The driver was drunk," she continued, her voice cracking. "But do you know what's worse? He got off easy because he was my father's friend." Ryan froze. "You mean your father knew him?" "Yes, he knew. And he covered it up," she said bitterly. "He told me, 'It's in the past. Let it go. Focus on recovery, not revenge.'" She gave a dry, broken laugh. "Can you imagine? He said he wanted to protect me by protecting the man who put me in this chair." Ryan sat in silence, watching her face. Still beautiful, still proud, but shadowed with pain. "I used to believe in justice," she said slowly. "I believed right would beat wrong, that love would beat fear. But after that night, I stopped believing in both." Ryan was quiet for a long moment, then said softly, "Then believe in me." Anna turned to him. "Believe in you?" "Yes." His smile was small, but certain. "I don't have power, or the Lawrence name, or any friends in a courtroom. But I know how to love without pity, and how to fix things people think are beyond repair." Tears welled in her eyes. "You don't understand. Some cracks can't be welded." "Then I'll learn how," he said simply, his eyes unwavering. "I've rebuilt things no one believed would run again." "You think your heart's more complicated than an engine?" That made her laugh through her tears. "You're the most stubborn mechanic I've ever met. And you're the most complicated blueprint I've ever tried to read." Silence filled the room, broken only by the soft tapping of rain against the glass. Ryan rested a hand on her shoulder, his voice low and warm. "You have every right to be angry, to hate, but don't let them take away your ability to trust. If the world's justice is corrupted, let me build a small one just for you, by loving you until you believe again." She didn't answer. She just looked at him. A single tear slid down her cheek, but this time, it wasn't from fear. "You're crazy," she whispered. "I know. But maybe I need someone crazy like you." Ryan pulled the blanket up around her shoulders. "Go back to sleep. I'll stay." "You're going to stay up all night?" "I'm used to it. Customers' cars, your dreams, both need watching." She let out a weak laugh. "You really don't know how to say a proper, romantic line, do you?" "I never studied poetry. I studied how to fix hearts." Anna closed her eyes, fingers tightening around his. For the first time in years, she truly slept. No nightmares, no fear. Outside the window, dawn broke, and in that small Brooklyn room, something fragile and vital was restored. A piece of faith welded back together by the hands of a mechanic who didn't promise to make the world fairer, only warmer. A year later, spring returned to Brooklyn. Sunlight spilled across the new sign hanging outside the garage. Torres Auto Repair and Accessibility Garage. Beneath it, a smaller line read, Designed with Heart by Anna Lawrence. The place looked bigger now, cleaner, brighter. There was a ramp for wheelchairs, safety railings, and a cozy corner with a coffee machine Anna had picked out herself. Ryan was giving directions to a few workers installing new equipment. He still wore his familiar gray shirt, but something in his eyes had changed. Peace had settled there. "Who's winning today, coffee or motor oil?" came Anna's voice from behind him. He turned. She was rolling in, hair tied high, pale blue dress fluttering in the breeze. "Coffee," he said, "because the ramp designer decided to drop by. I just came to check if you followed my blueprint correctly." "I did, except I added lights along the ramp, so it stays bright when you come back at night." Anna looked at the small lamps lining the ramp, their soft glow blending with the fresh scent of paint. She smiled. "You really know how to make a coder want to add another line of code. If, Ryan, then smile, subsimulus." "I don't get it," he grinned, "but it sounds nice." That afternoon, the garage closed early. Ryan sent everyone home, saying he needed to clean up. Anna was about to leave when he said, "Stay a bit. There's something I want to test." When she turned back, the garage looked completely different. The overhead lights were off, replaced by dozens of small candles circling the old car they had once restored after the flood. On its hood lay red roses, scattered with white petals, glimmering like tiny oil drops in the candlelight. Anna froze. "Ryan, what is all this?" "Cleaning," he said casually, then smiled. "But this time I'm clearing space for something more important." He stepped closer, holding a small box in his hand. The candlelight flickered in his eyes, the same soft gold she'd seen that night at Le Jardin a year ago. Ryan knelt in front of her. "I don't have a fancy speech or a background soundtrack like in the movies, but I have a story about a mechanic who didn't belong in luxury restaurants, who sat at the wrong table and found the right person to teach him what real fixing means." Anna laughed through tears. "You remember all that?" "I remember everything. The glass of wine you didn't finish, the necklace you left behind." He pulled a small silver pendant from his pocket, a simple chip engraved with the words, "If lost, return home." "I kept it for a year," he said softly, "because I realized home isn't a place. It's the person you want to come back to." Anna covered her mouth, her voice trembling. "You idiot." "I know," he said, smiling. "The luckiest idiot alive." He opened the velvet box. Inside was a platinum and titanium ring, slim, resilient, glowing in the candlelight. "I didn't choose gold. It's too soft. I chose titanium because it's strong, like the way you keep moving forward, and platinum because it never fades, like my love for you." He looked up, eyes steady. "I sat at the wrong table, but I found the right person. I love you. Your heart, your wheels, and the strength that makes me want to be better every day." Anna burst into tears. "You're an idiot." "I know, but you're the idiot I chose." He slid the ring onto her finger. The metal gleamed in the candlelight, simple yet everlasting, just like them. She extended her hand, teasing softly. "Go on, mechanic. Do it properly." Ryan gently took her hand, slipped the ring into place, then lifted her other hand and kissed it. No music, no audience, only their heartbeats and the faint scent of roses mingling with motor oil. "You're such an idiot," she whispered, tears falling. "I know," he said again, smiling, "but I'm the idiot you chose." Outside, light rain began to fall. The candles flickered, reflecting on the glass wall. Two silhouettes, one kneeling, one seated, yet equal in the same golden glow. Anna leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice trembling. "I used to think love was a luxury, but maybe it's just finding someone patient enough to fix the broken parts of your heart." Ryan chuckled. "And sometimes it takes sitting at the wrong table to find the right destiny." He squeezed her hand. "So, is that a yes?" She smiled through tears. And if I said no, then I'd wait, because I've learned how to wait for the right moment to start the engine. You're insane. I know. Anna leaned in and kissed him, slow, deep, and soft, carrying the scent of roses, oil, and peace. When they finally pulled apart, she whispered, "The world might not be perfect, but with you, I believe everything broken can be fixed." Ryan pressed his forehead to hers, whispering back, "Then let's maintain each other's hearts for life, my favorite software engineer." A gentle summer afternoon bathed the small garden in golden light where the wedding was held. No lavish party, no fireworks, just rows of white wooden chairs, a path scattered with rose petals, and a small sign hanging by the gate. "Welcome to the Torres-Lawrence wedding. Love built, not bought." Anna appeared in a simple white dress, the hem of which brushed lightly against her wheelchair. She didn't need anyone to push her. Ahead, Ryan waited in a navy suit, his smile a mix of pride and nervousness. The soft strumming of a guitar floated through the air as guests rose to their feet. Then the garden door opened and Robert Lawrence stepped in. Not as the powerful CEO in a black suit, but as a father with silver hair, misty eyes, and slow, deliberate steps beside his daughter. He placed a hand on Anna's shoulder, his voice rough. "Are you sure you want to go the rest of the way on your own?" Anna smiled. "You can hold my hand, Dad. But you don't need to push anymore." Robert nodded softly. They moved forward together, one of his steps, one turn of her wheels. Through the music, the quiet gasps, and the warm, tearful eyes watching them. At the end of the aisle, Robert stopped before Ryan. The two men looked at each other. No more suspicion, no more distance, only mutual respect. Robert placed Anna's hand into Ryan's and said quietly, "I'm giving you my daughter, not to take care of her, but so you can take care of each other." Ryan nodded, eyes glistening. "Thank you, sir. And thank you for finally seeing her as she truly is." Robert smiled faintly, then turned toward the front row, where sunlight filtered through the trees, scattering gold across his shoulders. The ceremony was simple. The officiant, a longtime friend of Ryan's, offered a few blessings as Anna and Ryan exchanged a gaze that held every storm they'd survived together. Then came the speeches. Robert stood. The garden fell silent. He took the microphone, breathing in deeply. "I used to think a father's love meant protection," he began. "But sometimes protecting means not believing your child is strong enough to walk their own path. And I was wrong." The entire garden grew still. Robert's eyes found Anna's, softer than they had ever been. "Thank you, Ryan. Not just for loving my daughter, but for showing me that she was never weak. Disability changes circumstances, not worth." Applause broke out, gentle, genuine. A few people wiped their tears. Robert smiled at his daughter. "Anna, it took me years to truly see you. Not the girl I showed off at parties, but the woman who knows who she is and has the courage to live it." Anna's lips trembled. "Dad, you finally see me." Robert stepped closer, cupping her cheek. "I never stopped seeing you, sweetheart. I just saw you wrong." Ryan moved beside her, taking her hand. "You once said freedom is when someone trusts you," he whispered. "So today, let's be free together." Anna nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks, but her smile was radiant. The guitar began again, sunlight pouring through the arch of white flowers. Ryan leaned down and kissed her, a kiss quiet but full of meaning. The garden erupted in applause, cheers, and soft sobs from those who witnessed it. Robert stood still, watching his daughter glow in the afternoon light. Her smile erased years of misguided protection, years he had mistaken for control, what was actually care. Beside him, Marcus whispered, "Sir, are you all right?" Robert exhaled, eyes still on the couple. "For the first time in my life, yes, because I've finally learned the hardest lesson of all: to love is to let someone live as who they truly are." After the ceremony, Anna wheeled herself out to the garden path while Ryan walked beside her, their fingers intertwined. The wind stirred the white ribbons, carrying the scent of flowers and laughter into the peaceful afternoon. She looked at him with a soft grin. "I used to think I'd never wear a wedding dress." He smiled. "Then I guess I've fixed one more thing in your life." "Can you fix everything?" Not everything, but the rest, we'll fix it together. She laughed quietly and rested her head on his shoulder. Across the garden, Robert watched them, no longer with fear or pride, but with the deep, gentle relief of a father who had finally learned how to let go at exactly the right moment. 1 year later, Brooklyn basked in the golden glow of early autumn. The breeze swept through red brick streets, carrying the scent of coffee, motor oil, and something sweeter. Happiness, the kind that only lingers once you've weathered enough storms. On the new silver sign gleamed the words, "Wheels and wrenches, garage for every road, for every soul." Ryan stood by the door, hands in his pockets, watching his young staff guide cars up and down the ramp he and Anna had designed together. A little boy was testing a tiny model wheelchair, laughing as it rolled. "Careful there, rookie! Go any faster and you'll crash right into my sign," Ryan called out, half laughing, half proud. The office door opened. Anna came out, dressed in a white blouse and a silver-gray pencil skirt. On her chest was a small logo that read, "Able Drive Tech," her startup, which develops software to help people with disabilities drive safely. "Director Torres," she teased, "would you consider a partnership with my company?" Ryan turned, narrowing his eyes playfully. "Depends on the terms. I only take contracts that include a hug the CEO clause after every meeting. That's wildly unprofessional, but perfectly emotional." Anna laughed. They stood side by side, watching the busy garage, feeling a peace neither of them had dared dream of a year ago. That evening, Ryan called her. "I've got a date for us. Dress code. Simple, but bring your heart." "Why?" "Because I'm planning to make it race a little." An hour later, they stopped in front of Le Jardin, the restaurant from that first night. The same wooden doors, the same candlelit windows. Anna froze. "You still remember this place?" "I never forgot. This is where I redefined the word mistake." The waiter smiled and led them to the table by the window, the one where it all began. The woman in the wheelchair now smiled with quiet confidence, eyes bright with life. The man beside her, once a nervous mechanic, now a business owner, but still looked at her the same way he had that night, a mix of awe and tenderness. "I used to think," Ryan began, voice low and warm, "that sitting at the wrong table was the biggest mistake of my life." Anna's eyes sparkled. "And now? Now I know it was a miracle disguised as a mistake." She leaned her chin on her hand, teasing, "A mechanic talking like that? Who taught you to sound like a poet?" "No one. I just learned from you. Coders write poetry in code, and I only want to write one line in yours. While life, love you." Anna laughed through tears. Terrible syntax, but perfect meaning. The waiter brought 2 glasses of wine. Ryan raised his glass. "To the table of destiny, where I learned that happiness isn't about where you sit, but who sits across from you." Anna lifted hers. "And to the man who proved that one wrong turn can fix an entire life." Their glasses clinked softly, a quiet sound that carried the weight of every storm, every dream, every tear, and every smile they had shared. "Do you remember the first thing I said to you?" Anna asked. "You're at the wrong table," Ryan mimicked. "And then you told me to stay, so we don't waste a beautiful mistake." "Right. And now, if someone asked me whether I believe in fate, what would you say?" "I'd say fate is when you're brave enough to stay seated, even when you know the table wasn't meant for you." Ryan fell silent. He looked at her, the candlelight shimmering in her eyes. "Thank you for not sending me away that night." "You know what?" she said softly. "I should thank you, too, for not leaving." Outside, misty rain began to fall. It looked just like that first night, but this time, neither of them felt lost. She placed her hand on the table. He laid his over hers, their fingers intertwined beneath the warm flicker of candlelight. "Still afraid of the rain?" he asked. "No, because now I know. After the rain, the garage shines brighter." "And the ramp stays dry?" "Because you built it, right?" They both laughed. When they left the restaurant, the breeze carried the scent of wine, flowers, and the gentle hum of Brooklyn at night. Anna glanced at the reflection of the sign in the car window. Le Jardin. "Do you think we'll ever come back here again?" Ryan smiled. Every time we remember how we found each other. He opened the door for her, his voice soft but sure. The first time, I sat at the wrong table. This time, I'm sitting at the right one. The right table, the right person, the right life. Anna's smile glowed like the candlelight in her eyes. And from now on, there are no wrong tables anymore. Only us.